Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Dr. Wajuda Jawed. I'm working as a registrar in the Department of Oral Biology. The topic that we will be discussing today is different surfaces of anterior and posterior teeth, followed by its division into thirds and the line and point angles of anterior and posterior teeth. Let's first discuss the different surfaces of an anterior and a posterior tooth. I have also mentioned it here with a blue pen for better understanding. Since it's represented by an L, this is the labial surface of an anterior tooth. This is the mesial surface. This is the palatal, can also be known as the lingual surface. This is the distal surface, and lastly we have this edge, also known as the incisal edge. Now we will discuss the different surfaces of a posterior tooth. Again, I have mentioned it here with a blue marker for better understanding. Since it is represented by a B, it is known as the buccal surface. This is the mesial surface. This is the lingual surface. This one is the distal surface, and lastly we have this surface, also known as the occlusal surface. Okay, moving towards the division of thirds. The crown and root can be divided into thirds. Focusing on the division of a crown portion of a tooth, it can be vertically as well as horizontally divided into thirds. Okay, if we talk about its vertical divisions, the one that is close to its mesial aspect would be considered as the mesial third of a crown. The one that lies in the center can be considered as the middle third or the buccal third of a crown, and the one that lies close to the distal is known as the distal third of the crown. Whereas if we talk about its horizontal divisions, the one that is in close approximation with the occlusal surface is known as the occlusal third of a crown. The one that lies in the middle is known as the middle third, and the one that is close to the cervical line or the cemento-enamel junction is known as the cervical third of the crown. Similarly, the root is also divided into three halves. So, the one that is in close approximation with the cervical line is known as the cervical third of the root. The one that lies in the center is the middle third of the root, and the one that lies towards the apex is known as the apical third of the root. This was all about the mesiodistal division of the crown of a tooth. Whereas if we talk about its buccolingual division, that is in this way, okay, we can witness the buccal third over here in the crown portion of a tooth. We can also see the middle third, and over here we have the lingual third of a crown. Now, as we are familiar with the different surfaces of an anterior and posterior tooth, I would like to start over with the line and point angles of anterior and posterior teeth. But for that, you need to understand that what do you actually understand by the term line angle and point angle. Line angle is basically the junction of two surfaces of a tooth, or I would say the point where two surfaces of teeth meet, and it derives its name from the combination of surfaces that join. Whereas point angle is basically the junction of three surfaces of a tooth. Again, it also derives its name from the combination of surfaces that meet. Moving towards the discussion of line angles of an anterior tooth. Since I have told you earlier that it is the combination of two surfaces of a tooth. Since it is an anterior tooth, it comprises of 6 line angles and 4 point angles. Starting over with the line angles that we can witness in this tooth. This is the labial surface and this is the mesial aspect. So over here at this junction, we can see a labio-mesial line angle. And this is the labial surface. This is the distal surface. So over here at this junction, we can see a distolabial line angle. This is the palatal aspect, also known as the lingual aspect, and this is the distal surface. So over here at this junction, we can see a lingodistal line angle. This is the mesial aspect and this is the palatal aspect. So over here at this junction, we can see a mesiolingual line angle. this is the labial aspect and this is the incisal aspect. So over here at this junction, we can see a labio-incisal line angle. This is the lingual aspect and again this is the incisal aspect. So over here at this junction, we can see a lingo-incisal line angle. As described earlier, there are 4 point angles in an interior tooth which are formed by the combination of 3 surfaces of a tooth. Starting over with the first point angle, which is formed by the junction of labio-disto-incisal surface, also known as the labio-disto-incisal point angle. It is formed here at this junction. Then we have our disto-palato-incisal point angle over here at this junction. Then we have a labio-mesio-incisal point angle at this junction. Then we have a lingo-mesio-incisal point angle at this junction. Moving towards the line angles of a posterior tooth, there are 8 line angles and 4 point angles in a posterior tooth. The line angles can be witnessed such as it is formed between the buccal and distal aspect of a tooth, therefore it is named at this point. It is named as a bucco-distal line angle. The one that is formed between the buccal aspect and the mesial aspect over here at this junction is known as the bucco-mesial line angle. The one that is formed between the mesial aspect and the lingual aspect over here at this point is known as the mesio-lingual line angle. The one that is formed between the lingual surface and the distal aspect over here at this point is known as the disto-lingual line angle, followed by other 4 line angles which basically accompanies the occlusal surface. So, since this is the buccal aspect and this is the occlusal surface, that would be formed here, known as the occluso-lingual line angle. The one that is formed between the distal surface and the occlusal surface somewhere here is known as the disto-occlusal line angle. One that is formed between the buccal aspect and the occlusal surface somewhere here at this point is known as the bucco-occlusal line angle. Lastly, we have a mesio-occlusal line angle that is formed here due to the combination or junction of mesial and occlusal surface of a posterior tooth. Now we'll proceed with the point angles which can be seen in a posterior tooth. As I have told you earlier that a point angle is formed by the junction of 3 surfaces of a tooth. Therefore, as marked with this red marker, you can easily see the disto-lingo-occlusal point angle at this point. Again, over here, you can see the disto-bucco-occlusal point angle. Then, at this point, you can see a bucco-mesio-occlusal point angle. And lastly, you can appreciate a mesio-lingo-occlusal point angle. So, this was a brief overview about the topic. I hope it helped you in better understanding. Thank you so much for your time and attention.